learned from the lesson. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a little, but I still reinvest it. Fear how I feel, then you feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it down, we gon' get it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in November 18th, 2020, and the stock market is melting up. Although it was somewhat of a red day, it wasn't that bad. We saw more of that rotation occur, but there was a little bit of bad news. There was some soft economic data that came out, kind of spooky initially in the morning, but it ended up not being too big. So overall, this was a nice little break from this huge run-up that we've been seeing ever since the election and all that. So it's cooling off there, but it wasn't anything too crazy. But we have a lot to talk about and a lot of different plays. It has been relatively quiet, and even at these levels the last few days, the volume is kind of chilled out. It's a little bit better than a few days ago. If you guys remember, we talked about that. But the market is definitely waiting on some stuff, and we are about to see more developments with the virus and everything like that. So we have a lot to talk about. I got the plays. I have the keys. 3 plays that I really like, a sleeper play, and we're going to go over the DraftKings play, that $20,000 one. We had a lot of things happen with that today. I have a plan moving forward and rolling over, so we'll talk about that. And then everything else for the rest of the week, and get ready for the rest of the month and the end of the year. But let us not delay. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes for open. It's the first link in the description, and it is pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. It's free $99. It costs you nothing to join. YouTube.com/thestockmarket. You can post the play, see the plays, watch the watch list come to life, and yes, we got the best tin foil in town. So if you know about the tin and you want the tin, we got it. But be careful. It might blow your mind. And the most important thing you need to do, post your watch list below. Let us know what you're looking at. Got any plays, comments, remixes, anything. Post them below and source that info. Shout out to Chad, baby. So right off the bat, we will stay on this screen just so you notice how everything kind of moved equal. Tech did the best out of all of the indexes, but Dow and S&P dropped the same. We did see big movements out of Boeing. That's one thing to watch, but they were up 4%. So just think about how that balanced everything out. But as far as even the S&P in this morning, it was an interesting move. We closed pretty good yesterday, but then we gapped down, and then it started to get a little bit red. We were down like 400 points, and then it's just pretty much bounced up very quickly. This was just 30 minutes of more lows, and then ever since then we shot up, and then end of the day we kind of came down. But all of this was caused over the concerns over the closures that we saw. We saw New Jersey, Iowa, and then California, and then even throughout the day, more things got closed. We saw more news later in the day that they're closing casinos in some places. So that was the main thing of what we saw, but then a lot of it just faded out throughout the rest of the day. Again, people were worried a little bit in the morning, but the news didn't develop at a rapid pace. It didn't get any worse. Again, the data as far as the virus, not anything that was too shocking that the market wasn't already expecting, or even people. So today was a really interesting move because you didn't really see the market move too much, but it did react to some of that bad virus news in the beginning. So this is kind of what I'm even calling the anatomy of bad news to understand, because pretty much as bad news develops, when it gets bad, you'll notice it starts to it comes out in waves, and it gets really bad. It's one thing after another. We've seen that before. So you start to see a lot of closures, the news gets bad, but if it doesn't go into this snowballing effect and quickly develop, the market kind of chills out, and that's pretty much what you saw here today with the gap up and kind of how we've even been moving here. And this is what I was talking about. If we are not going to get a series of bad news that is actually going to develop in the market, one after another reacts, we're probably going to enter in this melt up mode. So we are near highs. We could go up a little bit more. We'll even talk about TLT and bonds. I have something to show you. But even though the market reacted today, it really wasn't that bad. So we want to see how this is going to play out. That's what we're going to be watching for the rest of the week. As far as even that data now, we had bad retail sales that came out. It was somewhat larger than expected on the as far as the bad side, but it just wasn't that big. It wasn't too bad, but it wasn't good. And then you also heard from the Fed. I believe Fed Dolly came in the morning, and he commented on that data saying that if you factor in some of the closures and other stuff, and they haven't got November data, once they do get that in, it might come in a lot softer. So retail was bad. Again, you saw a mixed bag all across the board with all of the different stocks, the rotation, all of that still occurred today, but everything kind of got hampered. And again, and you saw different industries react differently. So there was that. And then finally, there was talks of stimulus. It was really weird. There was one report that came out early in the morning, and it said that Pelosi talk with McConnell, and then later Schumer came on with the press conference. They talked about Trump and withdrawing the troops and their stance on it. And then he briefly talked on the stimulus and said there was no talks between Pelosi and anybody as far as that concerns. He talked about it very, very briefly, and then that was it. And that was pretty much all you saw today. There was the Tesla and the S&P and all that stuff, but even politically and everything else, there wasn't too much. The market kind of reacted, and again, it put us into this melt-up mode unless the news develops, and that's why I think a lot of people are looking at a lot of different situations, both domestically, the virus, even Brexit, overseas, all of that kind of develop and where that's going to put us to the end of the year. So I hope you're ready, but that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, we have a lot of plays. I have a lot that I like on here. The first one is going to be DraftKings. They did really, really good, especially on a down day. But now the question is, what are we going to do with this play that we have? So you guys remember the infamous DraftKings play. I showed you this. We were down like 19,000. I was down an additional 2,000. We were down 21,000 on that one. We were down $3,000 or $4,000 on the other position. So don't forget, we also have this play as well too on the other account. And now this is the difference. This is a naked put sell. We shorted a put and we put up the cash as collateral. This account was a little bit bigger. It didn't have much in it. So we put up the cash instead of buying an option. This is not a spread. This is selling a put. Back to the Robinhood play, this is the initial credit spread. So we did the naked put, the one I just showed you. That was the second trade we made, but then this was the original trade that we have kept rolling over. Remember, the max loss of the first ever trade was $18,000. We did it for like $2,000 or $3,000 profit. We got $20-something thousand credit. We got a little bit less credit on the rollover. So now it's in this play to make our money that we lost back, plus an additional $1,800 profit. I showed you guys this play the last couple days. You guys saw how it's been developing. We were down on it, so I was down another 2,000. So now DraftKings went up today, and I even think that casino news that came out will help them a little bit with the casino closures. But then there was also that $100 price target that it got, and a lot of people like that. It was just an overall pretty solid day for them. So the stock went up. We make money if the stock goes up. My break even on this one is $44, and that's to break even. But now that's just on the new play. Remember, we have to make our money back. So realistically, my break even, I believe, is around like $50 or $53 on this one. But now this play expires on the November 20th. So the question is, and what we're going to do with this is rolling it over. So now the plan with this now, and this is what I mean here when I've outlined it, I want to roll over into momentum. If there's no momentum, I want to roll over near expiration. So now coming into tomorrow, if this continues, I think it can. Again, it's going to surprise us. There's a bigger float. We'll see. But there's a lot of good news with it. If it keeps shooting up there and I start making more money and I get like 50% on this, maybe even a little bit more, the idea is I want to roll this one over just in case, maybe another month or two, or even if I could do it at a lower price, just because it's been such a bigger play there. And I just want to guarantee it, especially with how I view DraftKings, because my logic is if it doesn't shoot past here in the next 3 days, I'm still pretty confident in this. And that's why we did the other play. So I'd want to roll this one over for more time. And now that it's in my favor, if there's momentum tomorrow, I should get more credit back. Remember, we ran the numbers a few days ago. I would have had to take a $3,000 loss. So now that situation is going to be different as it's moving in our favor here. So I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to look to, if not, we're going to hold till expiration. And that is even going to be the same exact strategy here with the second play. So I did this as a secondary play, and this is kind of helping us out here. And this one also has a November 20th, so I will have to decide on this. I'm already past the break even, so I could even exercise this trade and walk away with the shares, or I could even roll it over again to see. But I'm going to have to do something with there, and even to just keep track of the numbers. I don't know if you guys are even in it. This is how you could even analyze this play and look at it. You guys are seeing now we were overall down that $18,000. Remember, at one point, even collectively with both of these, we were down $25,000. So now if I got $4,600 here and then another $4,700 on the other one, we got like $8 or $9 grand back now. So now the total loss, if you wanted to see, you're really down $10,000 now from what's happening. So this is why if I do get a little bit momentum here, I start to trim it. Obviously, I don't want to take it at a loss, but you saw what this play did. I want to use that to my favor now to kind of preserve the odds pushing in my favor once again. So this one's going to be a cool play to keep watching. That is going to be the first play, since you guys had to learn through that, and you're going to see it's exciting. The second play I actually really, really like. So that play is going to be SBUX. I think this is going to be a sleeper rotation pick, and I even really think it's going to be kind of even COVID neutral, even COVID positive, because again, remember, we saw the numbers. People were still going to SBUX. I think they're essential. I don't know, but they have actually been rotating up very, very well. So again, they got a little bit of that rotation pump with the value stocks, but you can see here, they're breaking above the 2020 highs. They've been a little bit slower, but even pull this out, they're about to hit an all-time high. So I think SBUX might be a sleeper. I like that one. I'd want to see some calls on there. Or if any of the momentum drops in the next few days or few weeks, I think those could be a really good pickup to get some, if there is kind of a lockdown and it's kind of like where should the money go, I think SBUX will be a good one on that. So I am going to be watching that. That's the second play, and that is the sleeper. And then finally, this one was talked about a lot. A lot of people are looking at it and into it, Boeing. So I think this one could go either way, and I think it's really going to be either about the premium or scaling in. So the premiums are probably going to be all over the place. You guys know how Boeing is. So I want to kind of start looking at a strategy to even scaling it in, but you just really have to commit. But Boeing could move a lot. It's entering an interesting point, even when you look at it with everything, even days like today. It's kind of even like DraftKings. Stocks like this stand out. So it's already moved up that 4%, and that was huge, but they're back above 200. So you could even see they were just at like 140. So this is breaking it out into a specific range here. That's why it's Boeing could either do really, really good here, or it could end up being really, really bad, but we'll see. But I really, really like how that's looking. So that could even lead to a little bit more of a rally above 30,000 on the Dow. So that is the third one. I am going to watch that. That one's going to be both ways. So that is pretty much it as far as everything else. We'll be watching the DraftKings. I will be watching AbbVie still again. They kind of made a move today. I want to see if they get any like volatility above 100 and how that plays out. That's going to be good. Walgreens got clapped pretty decent. I mean, they got really, really clobbered in the morning and bounced up with the market and held out around 8-9%. Kind of erased the last like 3 days of that run up, but pretty decent still. But this was because Amazon announced some like pharmacy thing that they're going to be doing. So Amazon has gone back and forth on this. We have seen Walgreens and CVS and all those companies get clapped by Amazon announcing this news. So kind of typical. I don't think it's anything, people ask me for the long term, but watch that. If you start to see the values pick up and this kind of gets a value rotation, it might be a little bit better there. So that might be an opportunity. So I'm going to be watching that. Then there's also Tesla. I'm still holding those shares. So seems like you guys got the wrong idea from yesterday. I think you guys expected me to hold Tesla long term. That is not my plan. I thought I just wanted to do this as a quick flip to show you guys what would happen if we bought after hours, but you guys told me to hold it, so I'm still holding it. Maybe we'll treat it like the other free share plays that we've done, and maybe I'll try to get one free share out of it, but down $187 on that. So thank you, Tesla, and thank you guys for your opinion on that. And you guys, I'm a shareholder now, but watch Apple again. They were moving a little bit different. Even when you saw them, they were kind of just like the S&P, but a lot more muted today. That was interesting. Watch UAL again, considering how Boeing moved. They're obviously moving different, and get a little bit gauge of the market today. It even kind of shows you they're down today, and they ended down a lot more than some of the other peers. So did banks. It kind of just tells you how those industries are getting affected by everything. Then there's Kasia. I have this one up because I noticed we had this as a free share play in the other portfolio, and I've had this for a while, but it just shot up like 30% after hours. So I forgot why. If anybody remembers why we played this, I mean, you could post it below, but we had free shares of that. So that one came up on my high ticker. I thought that was interesting. Snapchat, we're going to be watching again, still holding the long term. It got a huge volume run up. There was news that they announced something with Verizon and like lenses or something along that nature, but it popped this stock. And then the two crowd favorites, Palantir and Neo. A lot of people talked about this getting pumped. We actually are still holding these shares. So if you remember, we got this on IPO. I could make them free at this point, but it was a small position to begin with, and I'm just still even holding it. I like it. I think it could do some more damage, or again, I just have hype in my favor. But we have these from IPO. We're closed up 70% on them, so 200 shares at 1040, still holding that. But Jorge Soros and a few other people bought in, so people started going crazy and talking about it. But watch that. And then Neo, they had their earnings. They had a really crazy drop, and then they even had good earnings and raised guidance, but they ended up dropping. But this might have an opportunity tomorrow. We'll see. Again, a lot of eyes on both of those names. It's just been talked about, kind of both meme stocks. And then finally, TLT, I want to talk about this, and this is where things get interesting. A few people have even talked about this. You're even seeing the market go up, and this is what makes TLT interesting, because the other commodity I want to watch, or the other main trifecta, is GLD. It started to drop today, had a really, really weird drop middle of the day, but you kind of start to see GLD's downtrending a little bit. You go to the dollar's coming down now too, and then now TLT, see what the market's doing. But usually if the market goes up, you would want to see an inverse with TLT. So when you think about how the market has has gone up. This is kind of the inflection point where you saw the inverse, where TLT goes down, the market goes up. So this is interesting because bonds are kind of doing their own thing while the market is coming up here. So I am going to be watching that. But I think the key is going to be slower developments. I think we got a little bit more melt up with us. And then from there, I think the final stage is set for the end of the year. So I hope you're ready. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're hydrated, healthy, ready to go. Make sure you post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. I need you to listen, baby. You got to understand the season's for a reason, baby. But the Cole loves you. I love you. I'm going to see you in the morning. Let's go.